crypto?
Yeah, it was always a hot dumpster fire.
Always?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to say that it was all fraud. Some of it was a pyramid scheme. There's never been anything there. It serves no purpose. It's not a store of value. It's not a medium of exchange. And as we have seen, if you want it decentralized and not under government control, it is a haven for fraudsters. And now it is in the process of going to zero, except for Bitcoin, which will probably go negative, because if we're moving into a world with carbon taxes, you have to take into account the energy that it took to produce it in the first place.
Well, that's certainly playing out with like FTX.
Yeah.
Where you're finding out that
There'll be
it's
more.
a house of cards.
Yeah,
Do you feel like that's just sort of opened the door for people to examine all of crypto now?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's like as soon as you have one of the big ones go down, it's just
and just go down catastrophically within a week.
Yeah, I mean, just there's no intrinsic value to this asset. And now it's starting to be priced appropriately. So it has what's Bitcoin at? 16,000? It has another 17,000 to go down.
Duh. Really?
Yeah. There's no intrinsic value to this product.
And do you think that people have just inherently like lost faith in the idea behind crypto because of FTX?
Well, it became an ideology. And whenever you invest based on an ideology, you're going to make some decisions that are a little divorced from math.
And what do you mean by ideology?
Well, the people who really like crypto are convinced that it's the currency of the future and that a decentralized ledger is the way to go, and that anything that is controlled by a government entity is by definition a negative, and if it's done by the private sector freely, it will be better. And that's just not how currency works. Currency is a method of exchange and a store of value. And for that, there has to be a degree of trust, and you have to have it managed in terms of volume. I mean, one of the craziest things about Bitcoin is that there will never be more than X number of units of Bitcoin. Well, by default, that means it can't be used for trade, because the whole idea of economic activity is that there's expansion, which means you need more currency to lubricate and manage that expansion. If currency is locked in at a specific number, you get monetary inflation, and that is one of the fastest ways to destroy an economic model.
So because of the lack of Bitcoin, because there's a certain controlled number, the only thing that can happen is Bitcoin becomes more expensive.
Right. And that means that the people who hold it are the ones that make the money, but everyone else suffers. I'm sorry, that's not viable. The alternative is you have some private dude out there who generates the coins on a whim. How is that different from the monetary reserve or the monetary authorities that we have at the Federal Reserve, except for the point that there's no accountability? No.
Now, a lot of people have concern that the United States is trying to generate a centralized digital currency that they will control.
The Federal Reserve disagrees with that statement.
What do you mean?
Well, they don't see a purpose. They don't see what need it fills. So there may be an argument for the Chinese doing a digital yuan so they can monitor each and every transaction. But, conspiracy theorists are going to conspiracy. That's just what they do.
I was reading like mainstream articles about the United States confirming that they're trying to develop a centralized digital currency.
If you're talking about a digital exchange system, then I can see that.
See if you can find something
But something separate from the USD, no.
This is what I only looked at the headlines of it because someone was sending it around and I didn't have the time because it was yesterday. But this idea of a centralized digital currency is something that Maxine Waters talked about. She said that we have to do that in order to compete with China.
Yeah, Maxine Waters is not exactly the brightest person in Congress.
That's not saying a lot.
Yeah, I know it's a low bar, but she passes it.
I don't know if this is I'm just pulling up to see if this is what you're talking
about.
about.
Digital dollar is something that makes sense. The idea of smoothing the connections within the plumbing of the financial system or moving beyond a physical currency at all, that all makes sense. That's kind of like the next step. But a separate currency where everything is mitigated or managed by the Fed, that's not something the Federal Reserve has an interest in.